What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and we need to talk about the stock formerly known as SPRT, now known as GREE, and the massive disaster that happened yesterday with the merger and the massive losses that people have been taking, and something that might be going on because of that. So let's take a look at the chart real quick and just see, first of all, what happened yesterday, because this has been probably the worst merger that I've ever actually seen. And it's really shocking, and I've heard a lot of horror stories in the comments, and a lot of people have lost a lot of money. So let's talk about what's going on with it. So you can see that yesterday, this stock opened up around $91.06, and over the course of about 4 hours, dropped about 50% to $47, maybe 45 something at its lows, and eventually by the end of the day was hitting 39. Now we're up actually around 48. We've boosted up about 10% from the end of the day yesterday, which is good news for a lot of people who are still holding. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But what I did want to address, first of all, is that a lot of people I know had a lot of issues with this new ticker symbol on their brokerages. And one of those brokerages was Robinhood. I'm going to show you guys my Robinhood account right here. You can see that I actually can see this ticker on my brokerage. And a lot of people were saying that they are unable to, and maybe that has been resolved for them. I know that around 9 o'clock yesterday, when I was first looking at this thing, I could not see it on Robinhood. Now I can. However, some people may still be unable to, and some people were also saying that about Webull. So let me pull that up as well. I can also see this on Webull. However, a lot of people were not just saying that, but they were saying that they can't actually see their shares. Now, one reason why you might not be able to see your shares is because as part of the merger agreement, some shares, especially fractional shares, right? If you had fewer than 8.7 shares of SPRT, then some of those shares as part of the agreement were likely liquidated. And this actually leads me into one of the theories that I have about why this stock dropped so much. I think that it's very possible that as this merger went through, part of the agreement was that they could settle some of the shares on a cash basis and liquidate them, and that may have been what drove such massive selling pressure yesterday, right? It may have actually been a lot of retail shares, a lot of people who were holding SPRT who may have wanted to continue holding that, who were forced into liquidation that ended up shooting down the stock price for everybody else. That's not a guarantee. I don't know exactly what happened with this. As we've seen on Ortex, there still isn't any short data. There's no data on Ortex to indicate what's gone on. They're still trying to figure it out. You can see the short change is not available, and neither is the current short interest percent of free float. But in my opinion, it seems somewhat likely that a lot of this downwards pressure was due to share liquidation. Obviously, that's not guaranteed, because what I would have assumed would happen during this merger, if shares were going to be liquidated, is that at the end of the day, when SPRT stopped trading around $10.98, which we can't actually see anymore. If you try to look at the chart for SPRT, you can't actually see it. It just is waiting for data the whole time. So you can't really see where it was. But I do remember, and we have it in the video, that it closed around $10.98, I believe. And I would assume that that means that if your shares are going to be liquidated, it's at that price and you're returned $10.98 for every share that you have, which would equate to a $91.06 share price for every share of GREE that you would have had. Now, I highly doubt that that's the calculation that institutions and whoever's responsible for giving you your money is going to be using, because that would be giving you too much credit, right? That would be giving you the highest price that this thing was trading on. And my expectation is rather that they'll probably give you either an average of all of the prices here, right? They might just average all the money that they collected for those shares together here and give you the average of it. Or maybe they'll just tell you, people will get different amounts based off of when their shares sold specifically, when their brokerages sold their shares. So it's really tough to say what will be going on with that. We'll just have to wait for more information. And if you guys have experienced anything with cash distributions, please let me know in the comments, because I am very curious about this. Because as of last I checked, a lot of people had not gotten any of the cash that they were supposed to get. Now, if this sounds like your situation, I do want you to check, first of all, your order history, right? Just for all stocks, not necessarily just GREE or SPRT. Just go to your overall account history and see if you see anything related to GRE or SPRT or a cash distribution. And if you do, then let me know in the comments, because I'm very curious to see if people have really started getting the cash from this. Now, if you haven't, then that sounds kind of fishy. Obviously, maybe it's just going to take some time for that cash to get there, but I would strongly consider contacting your brokerage and at least asking them what the deal is with that, because your brokerage is there to support you and protect you. And they will probably have your back on that and be wondering where that cash is as well, or at least have an answer for you. So um, there was another issue that people were reporting, and that actually had to do with options, right? People were saying that they lost a ton of money on their options, and if you think you lost a lot of money on the stock, man, if you were trading options, you really got burnt in this deal, because I've heard stories. Some guy in the comments said he lost that he had $1,000 worth of SPRT options, and that turned into just $50 worth of GREE options when this whole thing converted over. And what's actually very interesting is if you look at the options activity, this is the September 17th strike date. So tomorrow for GREE, they haven't actually updated the strike prices for this. So you see, this is still trading, assuming that the strike price for these options contracts is $5, which is very interesting, because that is, you can see what SPRT would have been had it gone through the 50% crash that GREE went through. So they're obviously still basing these options off of SPRT. And it's very interesting to see that even out in 2023, they're still based off of a $5 strike price right here. You can see that these are the only ones that are in the money, and anything past that is out of the money. So I'm very curious when they're going to convert those over, and what is going to happen tomorrow on September 17th when a lot of these options end up getting executed. Now, this whole situation really seems very fishy to me, and it really reeks of a lawsuit. Obviously, this isn't financial or legal advice, but I would, if I were in someone's position who had been really hurt by this situation, I would consider looking for some kind of legal representative if I'd really been hurt and thought that something was done to me. And obviously, I had no shares of SPRT at the time, so I can't actually say for me what would have been going on with my shares if I did have any. But if it really seemed very fishy, and to me, this at least looks very fishy, right? This whole thing crashing 50% before a lot of people even had access to the stock on their portfolios, so that they couldn't exit the position, and some people were force exited out at who knows what price. That whole thing seems very fishy to me, and really reeks of a great class action lawsuit. So I would, if I were in this position, probably end up contacting some kind of legal representative, or at least looking into that. And I will probably in the future cover, if there is a class action lawsuit, some of the things that are going on with it. But what's important to note about GREE is that now the stock is trading. We're going to have to wait a couple of days to see the short interest and what's going on with it, because there are still a lot of people who are holding shares, and I know some people will still probably be believing in this as a short squeeze, as I'm almost certain that there are probably quite a few shorts that are still in on this. I mean, probably some were shorting yesterday, getting a little greedy. That could have been another catalyst for this massive downward spiral that we were experiencing. And today it actually looks like maybe some shorts are starting to cover, because we are up about 14%. We're at $49, and this is a very volatile stock, I will point out. It's still very volatile. Just because the merger went through doesn't mean we're not volatile anymore. We are up 15%, and just moments ago we were up only around 8%, and before that we were up, we may have actually been down. Now we were up just a little bit, but this is very volatile, so you obviously have the potential, if you're still holding this, to either lose a lot or make a lot. So you be very careful with this stock. Obviously, these people, whoever's been behind this, whoever was in charge of the merger, either should not have been in charge of the merger, or was doing something kind of shady, right? They were either incompetent or kind of shady, because I think a lot of people are very disappointed with the way this panned out. And I know that I, at the very least, do not like what ended up happening with the SPRT and GREE merger. I'm very disappointed, and I feel very bad for a lot of the people who were involved in it. A lot of people are still holding this stock. Obviously, it's volatile. It, in my opinion, really does have some potential to go back up if we end up seeing a very high short percentage on this thing, because I think that really what is going on is shorts may have loaded the boat far too much, because imagine if SPRT had gotten pushed down to $5, what the short percent on that must have been, because that's a lot of selling pressure. And unless it was retail selling all their shares, which obviously probably a lot of retail was liquidated during this merger, so that obviously would have driven the stock price down a bit. My guess is shorts may have been getting greedy as well. Potentially they were exiting their position. We'll just have to look at the short percentage of the free float when this data comes out, and I will definitely be keeping you guys updated on that. So other than that, that's all I really have. I just wanted to say, very sorry to hear from a lot of you guys in the comments about what went on with this. It's really a very unfortunate situation, but do not lose hope. I think that there could be, obviously, a class action lawsuit coming out probably pretty soon, is my expectation. I think that a lot of people have been hurt by this, and a lot of people know that what happened was wrong. So that's what I have for you guys today. Try to keep a smile on your face. Don't let this thing drag you down and ruin your day. This kind of stuff happens in the markets all the time. So other than that, have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.